This is the first chapter of a sci-fi epic unlike anything you've ever heard, full of action, adventure, and a whole lot of heart. So if you like your stories with a side of awesome, this one's for you. And now let's get back to the story. Chapter 1. The chains of the Council they thought humanity would break. The Galactic Council had seen it countless times before. Young species, new to the stars, daring to dream too high. They would rise, stretch their wings, and then the Council would tighten its grip. Restrictions, taxes, sanctions, fleet patrols in their skies. Every world learned, sooner or later, that freedom was an illusion. The Council ruled all, and in their arrogance they believed Earth would be no different. A primitive planet, a species barely out of its cradle, a people divided by borders, by greed, by scars of endless wars. They will kneel quickly, the Council whispered. They will break easily, for to them, humanity was fragile. To them, our history was nothing but blood and ruin. Wars that scarred continents. Weapons that nearly ended our world. Civilizations that rose only to collapse. The Council saw weakness, but they misunderstood. What they saw as weakness was preparation. Every war had forged us. Every collapse had taught us to rebuild. Every scar had hardened our will. The Council thought chains would bind us, but to humanity, chains are only something to break. And so it began. The day Earth was welcomed into the Galactic Order, not as equals, not as allies, but as servants. The Council offered us laws written in arrogance, limits meant to cage us, rules meant to chain us. No fleets beyond the solar system, no colonies without Council approval, no weapons strong enough to challenge their rule. And the Council smiled, certain we would obey. But Earth did not smile. We listened, we read their laws. And then, quietly, humanity began to prepare. Because deep in our bones we already knew one truth. If they thought humanity would break, they had no idea what humanity truly was. Earth united at last under one banner, or so it seemed. Humanity had come together unlike any time in our long history. We sent diplomats to every corner of the galaxy, seeking trade, seeking knowledge, seeking a future among the stars. And for a time, the galaxy welcomed us. As younglings stumbling into adulthood, as children taking their first steps toward independence, many worlds reached out a hand to help, to guide, to teach. Others simply watched with amusement, believing our fall inevitable. But still, others envied our potential. The very fact that humanity had overcome our differences, united into one, made us an enticing prize, a target, a threat, for there is nothing more dangerous than a people who can set aside their differences to face a common foe. That is why the Galactic Council watched us closely, waiting for our inevitable collapse. Oh, how they would savor that day. How they would feast on our ruin. The Council believed that day would come soon, that our unity would fracture, that our dreams of exploration would turn to dust. Yet they had not counted on the strength of our spirit, the resilience of our will, the sheer tenacity of humanity. Yes, we argued, yes, we fought, yes, we stumbled, but never once did we waver from the path laid out before us. Never once did we falter in our desire to reach for the stars. And the Council grew impatient. It had tasted the sweet nectar of subjugation countless times before. The thought of a new prize was tempting, intoxicating. But to seize that prize, to add another world to its dominion, the Council needed leverage. And so it reached out, offering us a deal. At first glance it looked like a gift. Trade routes opened, resources shared, technology transferred. But beneath the surface, it was a trap. A trap laid carefully, patiently, with the precision only the Galactic Council could muster. The offer was simple. Submit to our guidance, follow our laws, and in return you shall have prosperity. At least that's what the Council wanted us to believe. The truth was far more sinister. It was a declaration of intent, a warning shot across our bow. The Council was making its move. Now most young species would have accepted the deal. Most fledgling nations would have jumped at the chance to align themselves with the galactic elite. But Earth, well, we had other plans. You see, humanity had seen this game before. We had watched the Council play it over and over again. We knew their tricks, their tactics, their endgame, and we were prepared to call their bluff. Yes, the stakes were high. Yes, the risks were great. Yes, the Council was powerful. But we had something they didn't expect. Something that gave us the edge we needed. Something that would allow us to stand toe-to-toe with the Galactic Titans. We had the element of surprise. And now let's meet the main character of this epic tale. General Petrovna Rostova squinted, her gaze fixed on the shimmering expanse of the Milky Way. Above her, the stars twinkled like diamonds scattered across a velvet cloth, indifferent to the turmoil that played out below. Her lips, however, were pressed into a thin line, betraying the turmoil within. This wasn't a night for stargazing. This was a night for vigilance. "You all right, ma'am?" The voice was young, eager, betraying none of the tension that crackled in the air. Captain Alvarez, his eyes shone with youthful enthusiasm. He was a good soldier, but he lacked experience, the kind that only comes from staring into the abyss and surviving. Petrovna turned, her gaze sharp as a blade. "You think I'm cut out for this, Captain? Do you really think I was born for command?" The question wasn't rhetorical. She needed to know, because if Alvarez believed she was born for command, he'd be sorely mistaken. Command was a burden, a responsibility, a shackle. It demanded sacrifice, resilience, a cold heart. Was Petrovna capable of such things? Could she? Should she? "With all due respect, ma'am," Alvarez began, but she cut him off. "Don't lie to me, Captain. Tell me the truth. What do you see?" His hesitation was evident, but he recovered quickly. "I see a soldier who inspires confidence, ma'am. A leader who commands respect." Petrovna snorted. "Flattery won't get you far, Captain. This isn't about me. This is about Earth, about humanity. Are you sure I'm the best choice? Are you sure we're ready?" The weight of their impending confrontation with the Council pressed down on them, suffocating hope, extinguishing joy. This wasn't just a battle. It was a test of faith, a trial by fire. It was a moment where Earth's fate hung in the balance. As the night wore on, Petrovna's resolve hardened. This was her duty, her calling, her burden to bear. There was no turning back, no room for doubt. All she could do was press forward, leading her people into the unknown, hoping against hope that they would emerge on the other side, unbroken, unbowed, unbent. "Then let's do this," she said finally, her voice echoing with newfound steel. In her eyes, though, a single tear escaped, tracing a lonely path down her cheek. It was a silent testament to the fear that gnawed at her heart, the fear that one day the Council would find a way to break humanity, to bend Earth to their will. If that day came, the Council would find her ready. And now let's shift our focus to the enigmatic Galactic Council, the puppet master of this grand cosmic drama. Their motives are veiled in shadows, their faces hidden behind a shimmering haze. But one thing is clear. They are the architects of this conflict, the unseen forces that manipulate galaxies for their amusement. Theirs is a game of chess played on a cosmic scale, where planets and civilizations are mere pawns in their twisted pastime. Yet, even in their shadowy citadels, cracks are beginning to show. The Council is not monolithic. There are murmurs of dissent, hints of internal strife, whispers of factions with divergent goals. Is the Council truly as formidable as it appears? Or are its ranks divided, its power waning? For within the heart of every empire, there beats the drum of discord. So who do you think will prevail? Will humanity's spirit endure? Or will the Galactic Council's machinations prove too strong? Let us know your thoughts. And do not forget to hit the like button if you're enjoying this thrilling journey through the cosmos. The stage is set, the pieces are in motion. The question is, who will claim victory in this grand celestial showdown? Until next time, keep looking up. The universe is watching. Humanity has arrived on the galactic stage. And now all eyes are upon us. Some wonder if we'll rise to the challenge or fall short of expectations. Others see only potential resources, strategic locations, and new worlds to plunder. But whatever they see, one thing is certain: humanity will be watched very closely. Chapter 1. All eyes on Earth. Earth is a young sapient species, barely crawling out from behind its cradle rock. And yet somehow we've managed to catch the attention of the galaxy. We have their full, unwavering attention. Now that isn't to say that other species didn't come before us. After all, the galaxy has been around for tens of thousands of years. But this is a new age, and Earth has risen to take its place. As such, we become the center of attention. Our every move is scrutinized, our every action debated in star systems across the galaxy. In the beginning, the Council watched us like wardens watching prisoners. Council fleets patrolled our borders. Their satellites mapped every inch of our skies. Every colony ship we launched was questioned. Every weapon we forged was inspected. They allowed us scraps of freedom, but not true independence. Earth had joined the galaxy, yes, but we had joined in chains, and humanity felt the weight. Colonies were delayed. Trade was strangled. Ambition itself was forbidden. But in silence, humanity endured. We studied their fleets. We dissected their weapons. We listened to their arrogance, their laughter, their belief that Earth was nothing more than another species tamed. And in that silence, humanity began to learn. What do you think they're planning? Do you feel it? There's a storm coming. Something tells me we haven't seen anything yet. Not really. Chapter 2. Waiting for the storm. Earth's first tentative steps into the galaxy were met with curiosity and mild interest. Other races had done this before. It was hardly a new story, another young sapient species clamoring for attention. No, that story had been told countless times, but that doesn't mean we weren't paying attention. Every day, every hour, humanity prepared. We watched and we waited. The patience of the galaxy was limited, and we knew they wouldn't wait forever. So we prepared ourselves, we strengthened our defenses, we sharpened our blades, we pored over star charts and histories, we scoured the ruins of dead worlds and dying suns. We learned everything we could about the galaxy, and when the inevitable storm came, we were ready. But you can't win a war with preparation alone. You need soldiers, heroes to lead them and victories to inspire. We needed a legend, and legends aren't made in peacetime. They're born in the crucible of war, forged in the fires of conflict. What will it take to make that happen? How can we force their hand? How can we bring our legend to the stars? Chapter 3. Echoes of Rebellion. It happened on the edge of Sol. A human freighter, accused of smuggling forbidden technology, was surrounded by alien patrol craft. The order was simple: surrender the ship, surrender the ship, surrender its cargo, surrender its crew. But the freighter's captain did not surrender. Instead, a single coded message pulsed back to Earth. They think we will break. When the patrol ships fired, the freighter fired back. The battle was hopeless. One freighter against warships of the Council, and yet the freighter fought with every cannon, every missile, every ounce of defiance humanity had given it. It was destroyed, but its resistance lit a fire, because for the first time the galaxy saw something it did not expect. Humans refusing to kneel. It wasn't much, just a tiny act of defiance against overwhelming odds, a single ship taking a stand where there was no hope of victory. But that was enough. It was a spark to ignite the powder keg. The Council demanded retribution. They wanted heads to roll, careers to be ruined, and planets to be punished. But the response they got was not what they expected. Every system in the Sol system responded to the call for vengeance. Nations set aside their differences. Armies united under a common banner. Heroes rallied to the call. A coalition unlike any the galaxy had ever seen took shape. It was a moment that transcended petty squabbles and rivalries. It was a moment that showcased the true strength of humanity. But it was also a warning. If you push us too far, if you test our resolve, if you think we will break, then you will face the wrath of an entire species. A species that will stop at nothing to protect its own. Remember the name of that captain and the freighter he commanded. Let it be a lesson to the galaxy. We are not so easily intimidated. What a display of power. To think our little Sol system could put on such a show. Truly impressive. But let this be a lesson to you. A reminder that while you may have won this battle, the war is far from over. They are regrouping, gathering their forces, waiting for their chance to strike back. You have shown incredible strength, courage, and unity. But that won't be enough when the real storm hits. Be warned, your enemies are regrouping, and when they strike, they will strike hard and fast. Chapter 4. The Cost of Courage. The Council did not retaliate with military force. They had seen the strength that Earth could muster. They knew that open warfare would be costly and pointless. Instead, they chose to tighten their grip, to crush Earth with the weight of their authority. Blockades tightened, colonies starved, trade routes were cut off. They thought this would break us. Instead, it united us. For the first time in history, Earth's nations stood together. Flags lowered, borders dissolved. Armies merged, because humanity finally understood this was not a war of borders. This was not a war of nations. This was a war for survival. Every scientist, every soldier, every citizen, every child who dreamed of the stars, humanity carried the weight of chains and turned that weight into resolve. The Council had underestimated Earth. They thought our spirit would break under the pressure. They thought they could control us through fear and intimidation. They thought they could bend us to their will. But they forgot one crucial thing. They forgot that Earth was not a single entity. We were a collection of individuals, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, each with their own stories and experiences, each with their own hopes and dreams. But together we were unstoppable. We were a force to be reckoned with, and they had just woken that force from its slumber. The galaxy watches as humanity tightens its ranks, prepares for the inevitable, and that is when the true test will begin. We don't know what form their retaliation will take. Maybe it'll be economic sanctions, maybe it'll be diplomatic pressure, maybe it'll be military intervention. But whatever it is, we will be ready. Because we are not just Earth, we are humanity, we are survivors, we are pioneers, we are explorers, we are dreamers, and we will not be denied our place in the galaxy. So let the Council tighten its grip, let it cut off our trade, let it blockade our colonies. We will endure. We will adapt, we will overcome. And when we do, when we finally break free from their grasp, when we finally take our rightful place among the stars, then we will truly be unstoppable. And that's the end of part 1. Thank you so much for watching. What do you think humanity will do next? Will they fight back against the Council? Will they find a way to break free from their grasp? Or will the Council crush Earth and turn it into another one of their colonies? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Also, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Until next time, this is a Star Wars story about a far-off time before the Republic, before the Empire, before the Skywalker saga. This is the tale of humanity's first war, our fight against the Galactic Council. Chapter 1. Chains in the void. Before the dawn of recorded history, humanity spread across the stars. Our home planet, Earth, a jewel in the galactic crown. But beneath that jewel's brilliance, darkness festered. A single word defined our existence: servitude. For above us loomed the Galactic Council, 6 species united in power, purpose, and pride. They shaped our world, dictated our lives, and chained our future. We toiled in their factories, served in their armies, lived under their watchful eyes. Most accepted their fate, but a spark flickered in some, a yearning for more, a dream of freedom. For millennia, that spark was all but a whisper, too weak to ignite rebellion, too small to challenge the Council. But then came the catalyst, a mining world, Kalan, a rock in the far reaches of the system. It was forgotten by the Council, neglected and abused. The Kalanan people, strong, stoic, and proud, reached a breaking point. They rose up, not against one another, but against their oppressors. They took what the Council had denied them for so long: autonomy, dignity, hope. They declared Kalan independent, a haven for those who yearned for change. The Council, enraged and embarrassed, prepared for action. They sent in strike forces, but the colonists welcomed them as heroes. The Kalanan built weapons from humble tools, shields from scrap metal, and they turned old freighters into warships. Christened the Crimson Fleet. When the Council's star destroyers arrived, the Kalanan were ready. They fought like demons unleashed. They did not have the Council's technology, but they had something far more potent: righteous fury. Word of the rebellion spread like wildfire through the corridors of the Council. Too many, it was a curiosity, a brief news segment, an annoyance to be contained. But in the forgotten corners of the Council's vast domain, a different sentiment stirred, embers of revolt, fanning into flames of courage. As the Council debated their response, a silent revolution unfolded. On mining worlds and factory planets, in farming communities and shipyard moons, people took up arms, not just against the Galactic Council, but for each other, forging alliances that defied the Council's rigid order. A score became 100, became 1,000. The galaxy rumbled with unrest. Chapter 2. A divided house. The Council convened, a gathering of species whose cold logic had long ago replaced compassion. The Grand Assembly debated. The Vela demanded retribution, while the Thyral urged caution. The Gel, pragmatic as always, offered a compromise, a show of force, a reminder of the power the Council wielded. The plan was simple: send a fleet to Kalan, not to conquer, but to subdue. The Council believed that crushing the rebellion on a single world would send a message throughout the galaxy. But they misjudged the strength that comes from unity. While the Council was consumed by its own internal politics, humanity's unity only grew stronger. Worlds that had once seemed so distant, united by the common enemy, were now bound together by a single purpose. Shipyards hummed day and night. Blacksmiths hammered new designs. Engineers reverse-engineered captured weapons. Humanity no longer feared reprisal. It had tasted freedom. It wouldn't relinquish it without a fight. Chapter 3. Unlikely alliances. In the shadow of the approaching fleet, Kalan forged unlikely alliances. The Natalan, renowned for their wisdom and aquatic grace, joined the fray. Dissident Gel, disillusioned by their own kind's complacency, pledged their support. Even some members of the Vela, appalled by their species' warmongering, abandoned the Council for the cause of freedom. The united front was formidable, but their forces paled in comparison to the armada that descended upon Kalan. Battleships bristled with weaponry. Starfighters screamed through the void. Troops stood ready to snuff out any flicker of dissent. The Grand Assembly believed they would crush the rebellion easily. They had, after all, crushed rebellions before, but this time something was different. The spirit of freedom that animated the Kalanan people was contagious. The arrival of the Council fleet should have been a time of fear, but instead, it was a celebration. Celebration of unity, of resistance, and, most importantly, of hope. Chapter 4. Hope in the shadows. As the Council Armada tightened its grip around Callian, hope seemed to dwindle. But in the darkest hour, a beacon ignited. A fleet emerged from the shadows, ships that had been crafted in secret, fueled by the very essence of freedom. Their mission: evacuate the Kalian people, take them off-world and ensure their survival. The plan was audacious, almost impossible, but the odds had always been against them. The humans had nothing to lose. They could not win a battle head-on, so they chose to win it through stealth, strategy, and sacrifice. Under cover of darkness, they infiltrated the Council's defenses. They sabotaged supply lines, disabled star destroyers, and rescued civilians. The evacuation was a resounding success. The humans proved that even in the darkest hour, hope can endure. Chapter 5: The Spark of Rebellion. It began in the colonies. A mining world forgotten by the Council rose in defiance. The colonists built weapons from tools. They turned freighters into warships. And when the Council came to crush them, they fought like demons. Word spread across human space. One rebellion became 10. 10 became 100. The Council could not contain us, because every chain they placed upon Earth only gave us reason to fight harder. And then came the moment that changed everything. A human fleet, secret, hidden, built in silence, struck a Council Armada. The battle raged for days. And when the smoke cleared, the Armada was gone. The galaxy gasped, the Council trembled, and humanity smiled for the first time. Chapter 6: War in the Stars. The war spread like wildfire, from the burning skies of Mars, to the icy rings of Titan, to the far-flung colonies across the void. Every world became a battlefield. The Council unleashed fleets larger than anything humanity had ever seen. But humanity fought with something greater: ingenuity, unity, sacrifice. We turned asteroids into weapons. We turned space stations into fortresses. We turned defeat into fuel for victory. Again and again, humanity bled. Again and again, we refused to fall. The galaxy could not understand it. They had crushed empires before. They had erased civilizations before. But never had they faced a species like us. Chapter 7: Breaking the Chains. The final rebellion came at the Council's heart. Their fleets stood ready. Thousands of warships stretching across the void. Their leaders sneered, certain this would be humanity's last breath. And then the human fleet arrived. Not 100 ships, not 1,000, but every ship Earth had ever built. Warships forged in secret. Freighters turned into carriers. Colony craft armed with stolen weapons. An armada not of conquest, but of survival. The battle lasted weeks. Worlds trembled. Stars dimmed. Space itself burned. And when the fire cleared, the Council's fleets were gone. Their chains lay shattered. Humanity had not broken. Humanity had broken them. Chapter 8: A New Dawn. In the silence after the war, the galaxy stared at Earth. No longer a fragile world. No longer a divided people, but a species unbroken. The Council lay in ruins. The chains they forged, now dust. And humanity stood tall. Not as servants, not as subjects, not as prey, but as equals. And in the centuries that followed, the galaxy would whisper of that war. The war where the Council thought humanity would break. But instead, we broke their chains. Thank you for watching this Star Wars story. If you like this video, check out more stories about the long-forgotten history of the Star Wars galaxy.